Welcome to another episode of Power Alphas. I'm one of your co-hosts, Sabby Piscitelli. And as always, I got my beautiful fiance, Mandy Saccomanno. How you doing, baby?
Doing well. Welcome to another episode. We are happy to be here. Thank you guys for listening.
You're looking tan and jacked, babe.
Oh, you know.
And lean.
Yeah, tan and jacked. Yeah, nothing. I mean, just like when you lay out in the sun and you get a little bit of color, just
you feel so
there's
good
nothing
about
like
yourself.
it.
I know.
It's really nothing like it. This is a natural one. This is no fake tan.
And summer hit quick. I think tomorrow they said it's supposed to be like 97, 98, but feel like 110.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yep.
Saturdays
Summer's
feels like
here
112.
Yeah.
We're ready to go to New York.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, summer hit quick. But we had a really good winter, and honestly, like I said, April was probably one of the nicest ones I've seen.
April was
it was gorgeous
beautiful.
here. It was. So can't complain.
I don't remember April being like that. It was
complain.
just, oh my gosh, like cooler at night.
It was.
Just the most perfect weather. But we have some very exciting topics to talk about on this podcast. First, we're going to go into it's Mental Health Awareness Month. So I want to kind of dive into that and talk about that. We have some Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef
Yep, got some of that.
we want to talk about. We also have, Sabby has some comment that Austin Rivers mentioned that we want to address. And then lastly, we have a big announcement. I have a big announcement to make, which we're saving for last. So
special announcement at the end?
Special announcement. It's a good one.
Love that.
Stay watching. But so May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I think it's really important that we address, that there's a lot of people in this world that deal with mental health issues, anxiety, depression. I think all of us at one point in our life have dealt with some sort of issue or adversity or something to get over. I know both of us have. And, I think when you're young, it's hard to grasp the idea of like what anxiety is. I think we spoke about it a while ago when, if let's say you don't have anxiety, it's kind of hard to understand when someone's going through anxiety or like a panic attack or something along those lines, because maybe you never had to, go through one of those things or, was in an issue like that. But I think it's really important to really, be there for your friends and family and kind of like educate yourself and also try to get, others' opinions out there that can help you when you're struggling and whatnot. But babe, have you dealt with, mental health issues or anxiety in the past?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. And I think anybody who denies that they have not dealt with mental health is kind of in denial about it. And, I think this is a great topic, and I'm so excited to dabble into it because I think, life, one of the best sayings I heard, I think Robert De Niro or maybe Tom Hanks said at a table, said, this shall pass, meaning life is like a roller coaster, right? Mm-hmm. And you go through times in your life where things are all great, things are all gravy, things are going exactly as planned. But then you go through times in your life where things are not planned. Mm-hmm. And I'm a firm believer. I think mental health is a constant battle of always preparing yourself, always prepping yourself, because I do think that life can really put you in a downward spiral if you continue to work at it every single day. And I think there's so many different exercises you can do, or so many habits you can kind of develop that help that mental health, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why we talk about routine, prayer, meditation, whatever it is, and I'll speak on mine. I remember I feel like I've been in some difficult places a couple times in my life. One, when I couldn't get back in the NFL, mm-hmm. and I was young, and I feel like that was the first time I felt anxiety. Because I kind of thought. I
remember you told me that. You were like, wow, I never really experienced anxiety until now, I think.
Maybe I was just young and dumb. I felt like, anxiety was like, people used to make it up, and I was like, wow, no, it is real. Because what happens, anxiety comes from the root of worrying.
Yeah.
Right? But what are we worrying for, right? If you think about it, and God makes it very clear in the Bible, worrying is something that is just a trait that we have, that when you think about it, what does worrying get us? Honestly, what does worrying get us? Nothing.
No.
Right? So For me personally, I think like I could tell a couple different stories about depression, anxiety, mental health. But I think the best thing that's got me through all of it is just continually staying grounded to my roots, working hard, creating a routine, talking to therapists. I
Yes.
think
You went to therapy,
I
which
did.
I think is, really good to tell others out there because I think especially men, which I kind of want to dive into about like how I grew up, but I think men there's this stigma of like, oh, you have to be tough and you can't be depressed, you have to be happy and you have to take care of your family and all these things, but talking to someone, there's nothing wrong with talking to someone. And you did that for what, a whole like year that was or
I think you're spot on. I think you said that well. I think a real man learns how to express their emotions.
oh yeah.
They need to learn how to express their emotions. And I'll personally tell you right now, I remember 2018. We talked about this briefly. Was a really rough year for me in WWE. I lost my dog Deuce. That was with me for like 10 years. That was rough. I had 3 surgeries. I couldn't work out. I couldn't train. I couldn't do what I loved to do. And I was in a downward spiral. I was living in Orlando. I hated it. I was bouncing
didn't have
back
a
and forth.
home,
I didn't have a home.
which was the key.
Me and you were kind of going through some bad things. I think,
Yep.
we were just starting the day, going back and forth. I was so mentally unstable. And for me, looking back, one of the best things I ever decided to do was go to therapy.
Yeah.
And WWE approached me about it. And I remember they asked me because they knew I was going through a lot with the 3 surgeries in 1 year. And I said, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it was just refreshing to be able to go talk to somebody and kind of let all your emotions out.
Yep.
And like you said, you kind of get it off your chest.
Yeah, it's like talking to a stranger that doesn't have any history of you or what you're dealing with, but also like doesn't have any what's the word I'm looking for? Like
Any judgment towards you
judgment.
either.
Yeah, exactly.
No
Like
judgment
no
toward you.
bias. Thank you. Bias.
Yeah,
I was
bias.
having a brain fart.
Absolutely.
There's no bias like towards you because they don't know you. So I feel like that could be a really good thing. And I think it's good that WWE offered that to you. I think people out there may not know or may not think that their workplace may be something that could help them, if you speak up. And I think that's the biggest message too. It's like don't just sit in your room and be depressed or, deal with it yourself. And that's, a certain way that some people like to deal with things, but talk to someone about it. And I think that's why I always, preface reaching out to family members or friends or just checking up on them because
Absolutely.
looking at the outside, like a lot of people would look at you at that time, even when you were kind of struggling. You didn't show that you were struggling. You still went on, your daily routine and you still worked and you still talked to your friends and whatnot. And I think that's the biggest thing too, is that sometimes you really don't expect someone being in that position or someone is suffering because of the way they're perceived. There's a lot of things that go on in the internal side that you don't see that on the external side. And that's why it's so important to reach out. And I know my family has dealt with mental health issues for sure. Losing my brother to addiction, he didn't just have an addictive personality with everything across the board. He definitely had some mental health issues as well. And I think growing up, I was kind of in a household where it was a little bit like, the men have to be
The
tough.
Italian culture.
The Italian
They don't show
culture.
emotion.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you're not very emotional.
Yep.
Like my dad is an amazing father and really provided for his children and wife and just did everything he could. But I think when it came to like being vulnerable and expressing how you feel, that was lacking a little bit. And I think even as a woman, for me, I think I've grown tremendously over the years being in different relationships and just being told maybe in the past that like I'm not as emotional and it was hard for me to express myself because I grew up in a household with a lot of men that like suppress their emotions and we have to be tough and I was kind of like that. Like I felt like I had to be tough
Yep.
and I felt like I had to put this act on that like I can handle it. And I think there's pros and cons to that. I think being strong and being independent, like I think that definitely had helped me because I think I knew that I was going to be able to get through any kind of obstacle that got in my way. But I think talking about stuff and being vulnerable, and that's what I love about you as a man is like you can be vulnerable. And I always say that, even your mom, I think, did a really amazing job too, because there's nothing wrong with being vulnerable, speaking about your emotions, speaking about how you feel. Even when we have kids down the road, it's like if the kid's upset, like don't ignore it. There's a reason why a child could be upset or something's going on at school. There's a lot of different things or red flags that you can see. And I don't think they should be avoided because I think a lot of people, especially today's day and age, it's gotten, the suicide rate and mental health alone is the issues out there. It's at its like highest, which is really kind of scary.
It is. And I think you made some great points, babe. I think if I had to give any advice out there listening, talk to somebody. Don't be afraid to express your emotions. And you know what? You're not alone, right? You're not alone in what you're feeling. There's other people feel the exact same way you do. And also, Mandy made a great point that I try to really be a good friend. I always try to check on my friends.
Yeah, you're really good with that.
I really do because I think it's very important to be a good friend, and we all go through things, and especially like Mandy says, right? Like back in the day, my dad straight off the boat from Italy.
Yeah.
Back in the culture, it was, men don't show emotion, men don't cry. And I think that's the exact opposite of what a real man is now. A real man could identify his feelings, express his feelings, and don't be afraid to look vulnerable.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to look weak. And I think that comes with self-confidence as a man.
Yes.
And it's 100%. Funny, I don't want to name no names on the show, but, I have a privilege to be really close and have best friends that were tremendous professional athletes, right? They were alphas in their sport. And I have one, the UFC, that was the champion at one point. And I've watched him go through a roller coaster of mental health. Mm-hmm. But it's almost awesome to see how he's come out the other end and so strong now. But you look at a guy like that and you're like, wow, you wouldn't think he had any mental health. He was champion of the world.
That's what I mean.
Right? So I think, like you make a good point, babe, is like, don't be afraid to talk. Express your emotions.
Yep.
Tell people how you're feeling. And that being said, also, I think it all kind of ties about what we talk about. Mental health goes hand in hand also with confidence of who you are. Knowing that you're doing the right thing every day, knowing that you're taking care of yourself the right way, knowing that you could be the best version of yourself. So if you're struggling with that, another recommendation I would say is just focus on you. Focus on bettering yourself.
Yep.
Focusing on, even if it's drinking more water, getting more sleep, getting a little bit of exercise, eating a little cleaner. If you continue to do those things, I promise you will feel better. Just naturally you'll start feeling better, right?
For sure.
So
No,
you make some good points.
That's why we really preach about routine and why we're so, why we're healthy and why we like to work out, because it's for here. It's like the mental.
It's right here.
Like obviously we like to look good for sure. And when you look good, you feel good, and it all goes hand in hand. But confidence is huge. And I think that's where people do lack, where they feel like they can't express themselves because they're not confident enough to express themselves. So if you're out there, dealing with any kind of mental health issue, you're not alone. Everyone, deals with it at some point in their life. Reach out to your friends and family if, you think something is going on. Don't be afraid to stand up and, just keep moving because, like you said, this too shall pass. And that's a great saying. So next topic might get Sabby a little heated, but babe, what is this Austin Rivers?
Austin Rivers, have you lost your mind? Listen, Ben, pull up the Pat McAfee clip of Austin Rivers talking about some nonsense that NBA players can go to the NFL right now, please.
See this.
I need to see this. We need to watch this live. Let's watch this live before I comment on this.
Ready?
Yep. Roll it.
30 players right now in the NBA and throw them in the NFL. You cannot take 30 NFL players and put them in the NBA.
Whoa.
Let's talk about
It's because you only allow 5 on
What?
the court.
that. You get a break every play. All you got to do is catch the ball and run north or south.
All right, pause this for a
Our sport's
second.
better because we would just
Pause that
you
for a
have
second.
to catch.
Pause that for a second. I'm going to comment, first of all. Austin Rivers, you lost your mind. First of all, you can't take one NBA player right now and put him in NFL. And let me break this down why. I'm not talking athletically. You guys are built like stick figures, number one. You don't have the muscle density. Your joints are not sustainable for taking any kind of impact, any kind of hit. And then you say, the ignorance you say, it's not complex. You run north and south and you get a break in between plays.
What?
Bro, listen.
North or south?
The ignorance of that makes me laugh. But continue the clip because he says some other comments that I want to watch this clip first and I'm going to kind of break this whole thing down.
just create a position for one of you 5'2", 40 running 6'10" guys?
There's a reason why hip-hop artists, when they rap, they compare themselves to ballers. They're not talking about footballers. They're talking about basketball players.
That's because they're not tough. This is me being a part
Oh, I
of
like that, Pat. Okay.
Yes,
The reason why
Pat.
all the girls that we get done with them, the NFL players usually end up dating them later.
Wait, what was that?
Crazy, though. About 30 guys could go in there. Who's coming up? Anthony Edwards.
5 max. Jimmy Butler. Russ.
Oh, you guys are drunk early in the morning.
Russell Westbrook. Zion would be fantastic.
I put Josh Hart at tight end, man. We'll go run around and fuck shit up.
Okay, so
Draymond at DN, maybe.
Run around.
Dion could have played your sport if he wanted to.
No, he couldn't have.
You're telling me if Dion, his entire life, focused on basketball, you don't think he would have been able to figure it out?
Oh, probably, yeah. His whole life, yeah. He was a generational athlete.
How about Bo?
For sure. He was a generational athlete.
Tom Brady, you don't think he could have figured out the NBA?
Absolutely not.
All right.
Wow.
Wow, that guy lost his mind. Okay, where do I even begin with this one? Oh, man. Okay.
What do you say about the dating the NFL?
So I'll get to that in a second,
It
number
was
one.
very choppy.
So let's be honest, Austin Rivers, that is an ignorant, outlandish comment. Okay, and I'm not talking about athleticism. Let's make something clear right now. If you're talking about if an NBA player made a decision in high school to dedicate himself to football, then yes, maybe you have players that could have played in NFL. But for you to say today you can take an NBA player and put him in NFL, that is the most ignorant comment I've ever heard. And I'm going to break this down nicely for you. For you to even say it's not that complex, you run north and south,
That's
and you
really
and you get a
ignorant.
break in between plays. Okay. First of all, physically, you guys are the softest individuals I've ever watched on TV. You guys get bumped and you fall and cry. That's number one. So let's just talk about the physicality of football.
The toughness.
Hold on, the physicality of football. Your guys' bodies are not, you didn't train like that. And you can't just train like that overnight. You're not sustained to take that kind of blunt force on the football field. Can you imagine Ray Lewis? Can you imagine hitting one of your football players over the middle? You would die. You wouldn't even get up. Okay? So that being said, there is no physically possible way, athletically, that somebody can go on a football field, put a helmet on, click the helmet, and get hit and think they can sustain that at the highest level possible. Now, granted, do I think basketball players are one of the best pro athletes ever? Absolutely. I have a doctor named Dr. Keith Pine. You guys can look him up. I have the privilege to be really close with him. He's worked on every single professional athlete in the last 35 years. He actually works really close with Kawhi Leonard right now, the Clippers. He does a lot of hockey players, does a lot of football players. And I actually asked him one time, and I said to him, Doc, you work on every pro athlete known to man. Who's the best athlete? What are the best athletes? He doesn't even hesitate, and he says football players. He says basketball is number 2. So I don't know if Austin Rivers is trying to say that basketball players are the best athletes so they can go to another sport, but that to me is just stupidity because unless you're playing flag football, unless you want to play flag football, you can go play flag football maybe flag football, but that's so ignorant from so many levels. To be honest with you, I don't even think this is smart to say, but it would be easier for an NFL player to transition to NBA just because the physicality is not in there. His body will be able to adore the way you guys play that game. And then he also said something about rappers rap about ballers, like because of basketball players.
He's saying, he's talking about basketball. They're talking about basketball players, not football players.
Okay, so Austin, Pat McAfee called you out and said it very clear. No rapper was tough enough to play in the trenches in the NFL or college football. So they don't talk about being a football player. Like, this is not a disrespectful thing. Yes, you have to be a tremendous athlete to play football, but you also have to have a mindset that is not normal. And to be completely transparent with you, most players that play other sports that are great athletes don't like the physicality of football. So that's why they veer away from football.
Yeah, a lot of young kids don't play football because of the physicality aspect of it.
It's a different game of physicality. So for him to say that, like, yes, NBA has the best athletes in the world, and I do, and I'm not trying to be biased because I played the position. You know, I think I could speak on this being a college All-American, a former second-round pick, and I mean this humbly. You know, even though my career in NFL wasn't as long as I wanted to be. In my prime, I have no problem saying there was not many better athletes than me. I broke records at the NFL Combine. I took pride in being the best athlete on the field. And that being said, I would never say in my prime I can go to the basketball court and play basketball with these guys. It's just there's levels to this, and that's why a Deion Sanders and a Bo Jackson were so special, because they did play two sports, and it was baseball and football. But they also trained football to sustain that kind of physicality. That comment's so ignorant.
He definitely stirred up some controversy in that comment, clearly, because you got this one all fired up. I'm sure he fired up a lot of other football players, because I could see that being like really ignorant comment. I think really stupid. We love Pat McAfee. I think.
Pat. Shout out to Pat McAfee.
Surprised Pat didn't go in a little bit more on him, but
he did. But again, Pat's so good.
Yeah.
Pat McAfee's so good at the show, but he even said, like, slow down, brother. You only have 5 on the court. And I think, he kind of played with them for a little bit. And, again, Austin seemed serious, but they're not realizing, okay, and I even challenge Austin this. Take your number one player you think can go to the NFL right now, and I'll put him in one scrimmage, and I promise you he doesn't come back. It's just a different world.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about something else.
Speaking of
That's good.
Speaking of hip hop artists, what about the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef that's been going on for so apparently this has been going on for years. I don't know how much background you know, because I didn't really know much. I was Googling it, and apparently the beef has been going back and forth for years. It started back up in March when Kendrick did that song Like That, and he announced he denounced the big three of him, Cole, and Drake.
Oh, so he was threatening. He wasn't in the big three?
Yeah. So
okay.
There was, I don't know, that started. So then they go back and forth, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Do you think it's manufactured, or do you think this is real? Because we can obviously relate to beef, like wrestling. Personally, I think that it's manufactured because...
Hold on. I'm sorry. Not to cut you off in this middle of the podcast. I want to go back to what I just said. What did I just say? Dr. Keith Pine. Remember I just brought him up?
Yeah.
Not to cut you off. He just texted me, and I want to put this on the podcast.
Oh, God.
Dr. Keith Pine just texted me as we're on the podcast, okay? Because I sent him the video this morning. I'm going to read word for word what Dr. Keith Pine said. The smartest man I ever met in my life when it comes to the human body.
All right, let's go.
All he wrote was, lost. No one in the NBA can take an NFL hit. What did I just preach about? Yep. Guys, I'm not making this up. You can put the camera on it. He wrote it right here. The smartest guy that I ever met when it comes to a human body and all athletes. He said, lost. No one in the NFL can take an NFL hit.
No one in the NBA.
Nobody in the NBA can take an NFL hit. So Dr. Keith Pine, shout out to you. I was just on the podcast live talking about this, so I'm glad you text me. Done deal, sealed. This is man I trust more than anything when it comes to the human body.
Whatever Dr. Keith Pine says.
No more talking about it. But again, that just proved my point. Closed case. Sorry, babe. Go back to the Drake. And,
anyway,
that's my fault.
We're over Austin
That's
Rivers.
my fault cutting it off, but it's so crazy you just text me.
Yeah, that was cool.
So my personal opinion, I think it's manufactured because I think they're smart and they want people to go listen to their new hits or their music. And I think if it's long storytelling, like in wrestling, we can relate. The best storytelling is long, over months and months and months, and people get really invested in it. They get really oh my God, what's he going to come out with next? They can't wait till this. So I don't know. I think it's manufactured. But then again, I don't know. There's probably some truth to some of the disses that there's no receipts yet. No receipts have been given.
I love your opinion because I think your mindset's in the right spot, especially becoming, a huge WWE superstar like you are. Do I think it's manufactured? Oh, gosh. That is a great question. I'm going to say no for the simple fact that what does Drake need out of manufacturing a beef with Kendrick Lamar? And what I mean...
Yeah, what does either one of them need, technically? Well, Drake's bigger, I would say, right?
Okay, so here's the thing.
I don't know. Who is bigger?
Drake's bigger mainstream.
Yeah, I would say Drake. But they're both really big.
So here's the thing. It's a good thing you bring this up. I was actually reading about it because I'm not educated on it as much. And sometimes it makes me really wonder about the industry, right? Because when you actually dive into that, who's bigger, Drake is bigger mainstream, meaning like the mainstream commercialized music, right? But you actually look at other artists' opinion. Kendrick Lamar, they say lyrically, is like on a whole different level.
Yeah,
right.
I think that's what Ben was probably gonna say
I was
too.
gonna say is I think Kendrick or Drake is definitely way more mainstreamed.
Yeah.
But Kendrick's lyrics are he's so intelligent.
Yeah.
So
it's
So even Eminem said that he's actually never seen anybody on that level of lyrically.
Yeah.
But then you look and you say, okay, well, if that's the case, why isn't he selling out every arena across the world, right? Because I think that industry is separated from like a mainstream, right? And then it's like, then somebody who's really, 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 really extremely gifted, like Kendrick Lamar. I'm not a huge fan of Kendrick Lamar's music, but a lot of people are.
Yeah, I think it kind of is like has to do with their niche a little bit, like and how they perform.
Their audience, yes.
Their audience, like look at Taylor Swift, like she's so mainstream, but like people love her performances. But like when you look at what she does, like her music's great, but like she's not out there like dancing like crazy and doing all these like, you know what I mean? Like I don't know, like talent wise, I don't want to say that she's so talented. But it's just one of them things that she just connects with the people.
Absolutely. I was going to say
like
that.
wrestling.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Like Taylor Swift, as big as she is, do you think there's somebody better out there at actually lyrically and singing? Probably yes.
Yeah.
But they took Taylor and they put a huge push and a package behind her, and she's mainstream.
Yeah.
So when I look at the Kendrick Lamar Drake, it's like everyone, I think Drake's a mega star, and I think Kendrick Lamar is an incredible lyricist. But when it comes to like record sales and financially, I'm pretty sure Drake's way ahead of him.
I would say
175 million more.
175 million more than Kendrick
More what?
Lamar.
It says Drake's net worth is reportedly 175 million more
Exactly.
than
Wow.
But again, though, but guys, like, listen, this falls into a lot of categories of a lot of life and professional sports and anything. Like, it doesn't mean that Drake is better than Kendrick Lamar. It means he was maybe marketing differently. He was more of this guy has the look we want. He has the way he carries himself. And this is not a knock on like Kendrick Lamar, but like, Kendrick Lamar is a little more like rough looking, like more from like the hood, like more like stays to his roots. Like he's not a guy that, in my eyes, that you put on the Disney show. You wouldn't see Kendrick Lamar on the Disney show, right?
No.
Like Drake was on the Disney show.
Yeah, Drake. That's where he got a lot of his founding from.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make Drake better rapper than Kendrick Lamar.
Correct.
But
But he's just more, I think it just goes along with like every sport, and we were in it, and WWE is a perfect example as like, it's just like a presence about someone, like, or they just have that it. And like, you can't really describe the it sometimes, but it's like they just have it and
Absolutely.
it works. And they put so much backing into them, or that, there's so much, packaging and money and equity into someone. And then they just grow and they just watch the person. And, they have talent, of course. You need talent, but it's just like, they just have it.
it's kind of like Mandy Rose. She had the it. You know what I'm saying?
You had the it too.
Like Mandy Rose.
You had the it, they just didn't know how to use it. You
No,
had the
but-
it, but they were just like,
So do I think
what
it's
do I do with this?
Do I think it's manufacturing? I don't know, but do I think it's good for? I don't know. And I just saw something yesterday, like, Kendrick won. They think Kendrick won. I just listened to both of them. I mean, they're both ridiculous. So
Yeah, Sabby had it playing on the other day, and
Yeah.
I'm like, he usually has his thing on like so loud, and I'm trying to read something. I'm like, what are you listening to? And it was just, I don't know. I couldn't listen to the whole thing, but I don't know. You guys, let us know what you guys think in the comments.
I want to hear
about
people's
that.
comments about that. I want to give us opinion who you think won. I actually want to see somebody who
Yeah.
actually took the time to listen to it. Who you think won? That's what I want to know.
I mean, is it even over? Like, they're going to keep, I think it wasn't even totally, I don't know. I think who knows? I mean, that world is wild.
I want to see. What I really want to see is Eminem just rip everybody
Yeah.
because he's the best.
He's so good.
But I think
That would
Eminem's a
be
huge
sick.
fan of. I think Eminem and Kendrick Lamar like work together. Well, they might work together.
Yeah.
Huge fans. But again, you know what? It's
Did you tell everyone that you used to rap? You want to be
yeah,
a rapper?
okay. I actually do. I always say to
Oh,
Mandy
yeah.
all the time in the
That's
car.
why I said it.
I wish that one talent I had was I wish I could rap.
I always say, like, I wish I could sing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, singing, like, that talent is just like, That's like so.
Everyone has their talents, baby, and we did not get that talent.
I didn't get that. Sometimes when I'm in the shower, though, damn, I'm like,
No, but you're still not good, though.
You know what's like a great takeaway from that is that you guys are like great human beings. You're like specimens, right? And someone would wish, like someone that could be singing very, very beautifully would be like, I wish I could be like you.
Of course.
So it's so
you always want what you can't have,
exactly.
right?
Yeah,
like,
of
I mean,
course.
there's always something that you want that you can't have.
It's really cool to see that, like, you guys, when people look at you, they think you're perfect and everything,
Right.
and then you're like,
Can't
well,
wait
I
till they
wish
hear
I
us
could do
sing.
this. I wish I could do this. You know? So.
Yeah, no, it's so true. So before we make our big announcement, we have some questions to answer. It's a few emails actually because we skipped last week because we had Michael Vick on.
Shout
last
out to Michael
episode.
Vick, by the way.
If you guys haven't watched it, make
Go
sure
watch
you go
it.
check it out. We had Michael Vick last week, and it was a great episode. So first email is from Christian. Hi, Mandy. My name is Christian, and I'm 26. A little background. I have been a fan of yours since Tough Enough. Before watching you on there, I was very, very depressed. I'm doing a lot better now, but I couldn't get out of bed for about a month, almost 2 straight. Then I saw you, and I immediately had something to be excited finally about. I hadn't watched WWE in forever, but grew up loving Trish Stratus and hadn't loved anyone in WWE till you came around. Oh. With all of that being said, me and so many of your fans miss you so much. I know you have a lot going on this year, especially with your marriage to Sabby. Congratulations. But do you think after you would return to WWE, do you think after you would return to WWE, I still feel like you should be the biggest star and want to see you achieve the legendary stardom that Trish did and win many women's titles. Like Sabby, I've been boycotting WWE. And also, when are you going back blonde? We miss blonde Mandy. LOL. Love you, Mandy. Aw, that like made me tear up a little bit.
That's a lot.
I was reading it.
Yeah. Oh,
Damn.
babe.
I'm
You're
emotional,
superstar, okay?
Well, first off, Christian, thank you for all those kind words. Literally, like, made me tear up a little bit because that meant a lot to me. But I'm sorry that you were going through a hard time. Obviously, if you listened earlier too, we just talked about, mental health and how we've all kind of been through it at some point in our life. So I'm glad that you're past it, and I hope, you just kind of stay focused and do the things that you love, or get a good routine, or all the things that we preach. Just try to really, whatever makes you happy, and always seek help if you need it. But I appreciate all the kind words, and I don't know if I'll return to wrestling. Yes, we do have a lot of things coming up. I have another thing that I might be doing soon, so I'm not too sure, but of course there's some unfinished business over there, and maybe one day we'll see. But again, I really appreciate it. And you missed the blonde Mandy. Blonde Mandy.
You got a little blonde in your
I
hair
got a little
right now.
blonde over there. Yeah, I may go a little bit blonder for the summer. The blonde's just a lot of maintenance, and I really like being like kind of two-toned and not super, super bright. Like, I look at photos back when I was in
Bleach blonde.
Golden Goddess era. That shit was so blonde. Like, now I know my mom was always like, your hair's too blonde. And I was like, oh, you're annoying. But
She
I'm
did
like,
say that.
no,
She did say
it
that,
was
though.
too blonde. It was like porn star blonde. But whatever. Yeah, porn star. I mean, so thank you, Christian. Really appreciate all those kind words. And hopefully I can meet you one day. And then we have email number 2 from Joseph. Hi, Mandy and Tino. I hope both of you are having a fabulous day today. I had a question for Mandy. Did you find it easier to deliver promos in a larger arena and capacity, or deliver promos in NXT in a small arena and capacity? By the way, you absolutely always knocked the promos out of the park. You always did such a sensational and fabulous job. I always have respect for you and your name. Have the most fabulous and beautiful day. Thanks, Joseph. So, funny question asking that. It's actually a lot harder to do promos in a smaller setting. You know this as well. Mm-hmm. When you're in a smaller room, less capacity, you see everyone, and like, they're obviously all looking at you. You hear everything. Let's say you don't have the crowd going. Let's say it's like, when it's quiet. You don't hear anything. Mm-hmm. rather than a big, huge arena with 50,000 people or however many people, there's a lot of noise going on. There's a lot of, you see people, but it's hard to really see their actual face because everything's almost like a big blur in a way. So I would say doing promos, especially in a smaller arena, is definitely more complicated. And I think that's why they kind of start you off doing that as well. Like our NXT shows that we used to go to obviously were harder than like the bit, like you used to perform in front of how many people on a football field. Like you would say sometimes going out there in Largo and performing in front of 300 people, maybe if it was a full capacity, that was sometimes harder to do that, right? Would you agree?
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. Sometimes it's like the smaller, intimate crowds, you kind of see everybody. You almost like, you start to listen. But when you're in a crowd of like 15,000, 20,000, 30,000, it is a lot easier. And I used to tell you that in football. And Vic actually said it last week. For some reason, 80,000 people going crazy, but when that ball goes snapped, it goes silent.
Yeah.
You don't hear nothing.
It's so true. I guess when you're in the moment, it's just
you
so
don't hear nothing.
Yeah. So, are we ready for my big announcement?
Oh, I can't wait. What's the big announcement? Drum roll, please.
Okay.
What's the big announcement?
I have something to show.
Oh, I'm excited.
For my announcement.
I don't even know what the announcement is, Ben.
Wait, I have to turn around for it.
I'm pretty excited too. I don't even know what it is.
I kind of think I know what it is.
Did you see that?
No, we didn't see it. We didn't see it. Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
I'm coming back to take what is rightfully mine.
Woo!
So this is my sash. This was
2014.
2014.
Wow, she's going for the 10-year reunion title.
Miss WBFF Bikini World Champion. I have decided I'm going to commit, which I'm literally deciding like right now.
Yeah,
Babe.
she didn't
Am I
even
not
tell me
deciding
yet.
right now?
She didn't even tell me yet.
So I was just talking to my coach and I'm like, I think I'm going to announce on the podcast. I think that'll be a great place to announce. And he's like, hold up. He's like, so you're going to announce on the podcast, but you haven't even told me.
She didn't even tell me, guys.
Yeah. But like, because he obviously wants to get like ready for it. So we were laughing. I said, well, we filmed the podcast a few days before it airs, obviously. So Monday, I was obviously going to be like, for sure. But this weekend would be 12 weeks. And that's kind of like a normal prep, depending on where you're at. And WBFF Worlds is in Miami this year in August. So I feel like that's also cool. Like I don't have to go all the way to Vegas. And it's been 10 years since I was crowned Bikini World Champion. And I feel like it's time
Let's
to
do
go
it.
get what what do I reclaim my title? I don't know.
Absolutely.
There's been a lot of really incredible women that have stepped up, and I always check it out. But what's really cool about WBFF is it's almost like a beauty pageant and a bodybuilding show mixed together. It's not just bodybuilding, and that's what I usually what I fell in love with from the get-go. I only competed with WBFF. But when you go to their shows, it's just it's all about the presentation. It's all about, how you're walking on stage. It's not just how your body is. They look at the whole package. And I think it's really cool because the bikini division, there's like a beauty pageant type section at the end where you like come out in dresses, and then the fitness girls do like a theme wear, like they kind of, emulate the Victoria's Secret fashion show. So it's a really cool show to like watch. So I'm really excited, and I've been kind of like slowly prepping since January, like obviously not 100%. I've been on a plan since January, I should say, because I wanted to start then, and I wanted to see how I felt and see how, how it was going to go and if I can do it. My only thing that I was a little bit nervous about is that we have a wedding coming up, and like I do have like my bridal shower in July, and like there's certain things, but I think I've been really good that I don't think my prep is going to be like too crazy, which I say that now, but hopefully my coach doesn't hear that, because then he's going to be like, oh no, you thought wrong.
Well, first of all, babe, I want to say on this podcast, that is very admirable, and I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited for you. I support you 100%. I'm here for whatever you need. Me. I don't know about all that.
What do you guys think?
I don't know about all that.
He definitely should. Look at this guy.
But I'm here to support.
This is him without dieting.
But I'm here
Could you imagine if he dieted?
But
I say he does it with me.
Honestly, what I love about that, and I think people need listen to this message, because she's not afraid to fail. She's not afraid to take a challenge on. She's not afraid to conquer something that isn't going to be easy, right? I mean, she won this 10 years ago. She's 10 years older. She's done so many incredible things in between. And for her, and I, like I said, she just told me right now on live on the podcast. So for me to, I mean, my initial reaction is what I love about that is that it's just a mindset she's developed in life. And I think everyone listening should admire that. Like, whatever you want to do, don't be afraid to fail. Go at it 100% and give everything you got. And where the chips fall, the chips fall. But with her mindset, she's going to make it. She's going to win it. But not even win. It doesn't even matter if she wins or loses. It's about.
Oh no, I'm going to win it.
Well, yeah, but
we're only doing this to win.
But even that thing is though the most important thing is she's not afraid to put herself out there. And I love that. And I think
you know who helped solidify my decision? Your mom.
My mom?
So you could thank your mom. I was talking to Sabby's mom real quick. I'll tell you guys last week, actually, on her birthday. And she was just so like positive and so like uplifting about it. And she made some good points because I was obviously addressing some issues that I had and I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it. And she's like, you should do it. Like, obviously you guys are going to get married and then, you know, God willing, maybe children down the road. It's like, this might be the last time to do it. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. And life is so short. And it's something that I have wanted to do again and step back on stage. So I'm like, you know what? I am going to do it. And I'm going to fucking win.
I love it. I love it, babe. I'm proud of you. I'm excited.
Big announcement. And stay tuned because I will be posting a lot of my prep and a lot of my experience, vlogging and all that, which is, I just want you guys to be coming along for the experience. And also my upcoming appearance at War on the Shore will be at Martelli's Tiki Bar in Point Pleasant Beach, New Jersey on July 16th. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe and like so you get notifications on our YouTube. Every episode drops Mondays. And we are also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and OnlyFans TV. So thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.